Is it time to reveal your real magic and become seen, known, and valued? In the group, hope you're having a great week if you're here. And today I am talking with Jo Dyer about saying yes to your soul. And so I'm really excited about this because, Jo is a very special lady. She's been a client. She attended my magnetic presence program. We've been in each other's community and circle for a while. And I know that our love of transformational poetry really got ignited this year when Jo heard me speaking about transformational poetry. It's like, oh, that's a thing.
Yes.
So, welcome, Jo. Lovely to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Rena. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be here. And yes, I love that because that's exactly what happened. I thought I'd invented it.
It's so lovely to meet like-minded people doing that as well. So I'm just going to tell people a little bit more about you. Jo is a poet. She's also a vibrational essence practitioner who helps you say yes to your soul even when you feel like hiding and saying no. So it's beautiful to have you here in the Visibility for Visionary Leaders group today. And Jo, you write word potions for your clients that embody the energy of the transformation. So that's similar to what I do in the magnetic presence, but for me it's working with other people's poems mostly. And you make your own essences, flowers and moons, and along with the word potion. And you as a head gardener, you have whispers where you listen, you commune with the trees and the plants. And all of this is in your gorgeous new book, which I absolutely love. And as I was sharing with you, it's full of bookmarks already, my copy of the book, and I only received it a few days ago. But this is a unique collection of poems and vibrational medicine that has those whispers and word potions in it and takes your heart on a healing journey through various emotions. So Jo, I'd love to hear from you. How did you get started, in this work? How did you go from being, a researcher, a gardener, to becoming an essence practitioner and a poet? How did you end up where you are and discover this really unique approach that you have?
How long have we got? Better keep it short.
Yes.
So I started life professionally in academia as a researcher and then a lecturer in organizational analysis. But I very soon realized this wasn't really what my soul wanted, or me, in fact. And eventually it took me a long time, but eventually I decided to leave education and become a gardener. And I'd been taking flower essences at that point for several years. And I was gradually finding my path. And when I became a gardener, professional gardener, looking after 14 acres of gardens, I was with the flowers and the trees and the plants every day. And gradually, I just became more sensitive and more attuned to them, to their energies. And I was continuing to use essences for myself. And I just became more sensitized to them, to such an extent that I started to have reactions, skin reactions and things. And I had to go to a herbalist and get a cream because I was getting very sensitive. And that was the downside. But the upside was that they were calling to me to speak their stories. And so I decided I would answer their call, and I started to write these poems. I didn't think of writing a book to begin with, but after a few years, after 2 or 3 years, I'd got a few poems, and then I met a woman called Jackie Stewart who was about to offer a course in flower essences, and there was something that just went click. You must do that. You must do that, Jo. And the reason I wanted to do it was to write better poetry and to connect with the flowers more deeply. But my soul was just shouting at me, do this, you must do this. And I can remember saying to my partner, I'm going to write these poems. I'm going to do this course and I'm going to write these poems, and that's going to be my legacy. And so I just had to do it. And of course, I never had any intention of becoming a flower essence therapist. I just wanted to write the poems. But of course, the universe had other ideas, and it was the universe's way of getting the message to me that finally, Jo, you've got to accept your true nature, and this is what you're meant to be. You're meant to be a flower essence practitioner.
Beautiful.
So eventually, I heard and responded. And I continued to write the poems, and it was this time last year that I set the intention. I had a visualization doing a new moon intention setting thing, and I saw the book in my vision. It wasn't heart balm. It was slightly different, but I knew that I was going to write the book, and that was my intention. And I set the intention to have it published in December this year.
Wow!
And here it is.
Here it is, and this is what saying yes to your soul looks like. And I love that. I love all the yeses on the way, you know, saying yes to becoming a gardener, and saying yes to listening to the plants, and you know, then saying yes to becoming a voice for those plants.
There was another very big yes along the way that I've missed out. and that was to say yes to becoming self-employed. You know, along the way, 6 years ago, I left my job as a head gardener, and I loved that job, but it was time to go. It was time to move on. I'd been doing it for 12 years, and I knew that I needed to grow. I wasn't going to grow in the way that I wanted to grow, and there was something I needed to say yes to, and it was absolutely terrifying, you know, utterly terrifying to start that journey of self-employment.
I get it.
And I've said so many times to people that you know, taking that step and becoming self-employed is one of the biggest growth opportunities you give yourself.
It so is. Yes. There's many people in this community who've taken that step, and it's incredibly scary.
Yes.
And if any of you are watching, just say hi, but type hello in the comments, or type replay if you're watching us, and let me know if you've got any questions for Jo. But that's so beautiful that there was all of these yeses that brought you to where you are, and also that, you know, as you were listening to the plant and writing your poems, then the yes of becoming a flower essence, I, you know, just have a sense that was bridging, you know, your connection to nature, to the people that needed to hear that, and then also feeling into the impact that this has, the essences, the whispers from the plants, the word potions, and how you can help other people who want to say yes, or other people on the self-employed journey.
I mean, the word potions were a major part of this. You know, the word potions became a way to write the book. You know, it all, what I was doing with the essence work, with my you know, my business, and with the poetry, it all became one. It all became one. You know, and opened up so many ideas, and you know, and there was this sort of tsunami of creativity that sort of almost overwhelmed me. You know, I was just having so many ideas over a period of a few months, you know, that, oh my goodness, you know, and it all had to be weaved and knitted together, you know. And I can remember us, you know, having a chat in September sometime, and I was saying, I don't want to do anything, I just want to sit and knit my jumper, and actually I'm wearing the jumper. This is the jumper.
Yes.
And you said something so beautiful. You were so you know, observant and perceptive, and you said, oh, you're just knitting it all together, Jo. And I went, oh my gosh, yes, I am. You know, and so
I remember that, and I remember that that conversation, because you're like, oh, I should be putting myself out there, I should be, you know, starting the promotion. And I was like, you know, just feeling into, you know, no, this isn't the time. You know, this is still you know, the kind of the winter, the new moon time of the deep creativity. and that in your knitting, you found the title, you found the structure of the book in that kind of trusting your energy. And so I'd love to hear more about that, and also any poems that you'd love to share with us about this, but just saying more, because sometimes saying yes to your soul can feel like it's all action, and obviously, a lot of action has gone to create this, but I know you work with moon cycles as a gardener, you work with the seasonal cycles, and there are visibility cycles too, so how do the poems and the essences help you and your clients to honor those creative seasons?
Yes, and when I was thinking about what I might talk about with you today, that action thing came across really loud and clear, and that sort of saying yes to your soul. It might sound like you've always got to be high vibe, putting it out there stuff, and it isn't necessarily like that at all. It's honoring your needs, and going in and asking your heart, what do I need now? What's my soul really saying to me, and what do I need? And we all do this in our own way. We all have our own ways of doing this. And I find that essences really help. And I've made a little note of, I've got 3 to offer. One of them is mine, which is passion flower.
Beautiful.
My passion flower essence helps me, and I co-created it, and it told me it's like having a satellite dish wired into your soul, and if you think about the passion flower, it's like a satellite dish, and I'm going like this. It's sort of looking up to the heavens, and it's a conduit between the universe and us, and it's about listening. It's about listening to what the universe is telling you, us, and what your intuition and your soul is telling you. So that helps you. That essence is all about that. And there's a light bringer essence called Green Winged Orchid, which is also about tuning into your intuition and to your deep knowing. And so you don't have to be rah rah rah, out there all the time. It's about listening and giving yourself what you need. And there are cycles. There are times when we can be more energetic, and there are times when like with my knitting, it was time to go in. And also there's my full moon in Scorpio essence, which is, come down, let me take you down into the earth, where you'll find the resources you need to transform. So we can go into those dark places, not being afraid of them, but knowing they have this richness, and you're there to compost and break down the stuff that you don't need and make it into something more nutritious and turn it into a new version of you, sort of thing. So
beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. So, but another thing that you can, if we're thinking about how to do this, how to go in and ask the questions, so that it's real, it's your soul, rather than some sort of voice that's trying to lead you down the garden path.
Yes, that's another question I had. Is that, how do you know?
How do you know? Well, we all know in different ways.
Yes.
I suppose that's what I'm going into. We all know in different ways. I mean, some people meditate. Some people, and there's a beautiful essence from Lightbringer called Serenity that really helps you to go into that peaceful place. And this is all about balancing and being in alignment, being aligned and knowing that you're aligned, so that you can trust what you're hearing and what you're feeling. And one thing that you could do, which I do fairly regularly, is I go and have a chat with my future self and ask her, what did you do? What did you do next? Is it real? What did you follow? And I've had some wonderful messages from my future self, and it doesn't take that long, to just have a little visualization, have a chat.
Yes.
And so so there are, and sometimes you just know, sometimes tune into your energy. tune into your energy. If you're asking yourself a question, should I do this or shouldn't I? What's this all about? Is it real? If you go quiet, go in, take some passion flower or something, and your spidey senses will tell you, you'll get a tingling. If your energy is yes, 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 and you feel really vibrant and alive at the prospect of following this, then the most likelihood is that it's a good thing. You should follow and say yes.
Beautiful. Yes.
But we can have you need to just be really sensitive to that little if there's a little bit of, or even a significant bit of doubt, then you need to recalibrate, and ask again,
And I love that the essences can amplify that voice of your soul and help you get through the doubt as well.
There are lots of essences
that do
that. Yeah.
So is there a poem that you'd love to share with us? And I just want to say hi to Fra, Serenity Essence, and chat with my future self. Yes, welcome, Fra.
Yes, chat with your future self is always a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah. So, shall I read a word potion?
Yeah.
To start with. So a word potion. So the word potions are poems that I write for my clients, and they embody the energy and the intention of the transformation. This one is called "So This Is What Freedom Feels Like." And my client was wanting what she called freedom, and but she kept getting so far and then stopping herself. And this is what I wrote for her. And so she dared to look back along the stretched out corridor she had travelled, like a runway, with door upon door upon door that had been unlocked and opened, some with trepidation, others with giddy anticipation. And she smiled. She pressed on, heart thumping and pounding in her chest, knowing that soon she would be invited to open yet another, feeling suddenly tired at the imagined effort it would take to move it just 1 inch. And she sighed. But as she approached, she found the door already open, and she was running fast towards it and was through in a second, gasping and in awe as she tried to take in what was laid out before her. Such an expanse of blue sky, an armada of fluffy clouds, a breeze caressing her cheeks. No land beneath her feet, flying through the air as naturally as breathing. She dipped, dived, bird-like, acrobatically dancing, the joy of it filling her heart. So, this is what freedom feels like, she laughed.
Wow. Oh, I love that. I love all the, what really brings me into it is that, the heart thumping and that visceral sense of, this is what it feels like in the body and in my emotions, and the laughing, and I can just sense that feeling of flying there as well.
Yes, it was like it's like she's been just taken. She's just the momentum. She's gained momentum.
Yeah.
And that energy. It's like that tsunami I was describing earlier. It's like she's just been shoved through the door, by the momentum that she's gathered.
Yes.
And it's fabulous. And the essences that would go with that are something like, there's an essence made by Muriel Pichard called the Atlantic Essences, and there's one called the Leap, which is the energy made on the brink of a waterfall. The energy bowl was put on the top of the waterfall, and it's like it's the big dip, the big jump, the leap of faith. And the other one that's in her range is baby swallows, which I just love. Baby swallows, it's beautiful energy. It's like the baby swallows have got to go, and it's their natural destiny. They're not going to stay in the nest, and they just fly.
Beautiful.
And they go.
Oh, I love
And they're
that.
3.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
And they go so perfectly with the poem. I love that. You know,
Mm.
the word potion and the essences can
Mm.
really amplify each other. And I love, and Wendy here in the group is saying, love your tsunami of creativity, Jo. So many passion flower nuggets here. And I just, you know, want to just dive into more about the, you know, why the poetry is so powerful. And there's something you put in the introduction to your book, which I love because it's so aligned with my approach to poetry that I'd love to read briefly. You know, this is it, that experiencing poetry connects us to parts of our being that lay hidden, unexpressed, and possibly even unknown to us. The forgotten wounds, delights, pain, unresolved knotty issues have a light turned onto them, and we experience them anew, or for the first time we witness ourselves, and from here we grow. And when we allow a poem to enter our energy, we are changed. We experience ourselves more fully, more completely. The poem helps us to step into our fullness. It is a homecoming. So I just love that. I mean, that's what we do in Magnetic Presence. And, you know, I love that you write word potions for your clients. You know, and how do you encourage people to go deeper in poems? And, you know, if they have your heart balm book, you know, to embody, you know, the energy of these word potions and whispers.
Well, with my clients, the practice is that I handwrite the poem for them so that the energy is transferred through me into the paper. And I had a client the other day say to me, she's got my book and her poem is in here. And we wanted to work with the poem. And she said, no, I'm not going to read it from the book. And she brought out this scrappy piece of paper, you know, and she said, this feels much more powerful. This piece of paper feels more powerful. So the client will get the piece of paper with the poem, and as they take their essences, I ask them to speak the poem over and over as they take their essences, or any part of the poem that particularly resonates. And then in our sessions together, I will witness my client reading the poem and observe, you know, how they're looking, you know, what they're doing in their body, and I'll ask them how they're feeling, and we'll explore together, you know, what's going on for them as they speak the poem. And they'll speak sections several times, you know, over, you know, 15-20 minutes. And we just explore what's going on for them while they speak that poem. And it's so important to speak it, you know, to speak it out loud, to feel the vibrations of the words, and it does it, and you witness. It's like having a mirror held up to you, and you see what you never saw before. You feel what you never felt before, and you gain access. You gain access to what you want, you know, what you're really feeling, but also what you want, so that you can set the intentions for your transformation. It's really powerful.
So it's like listening to the voice of your soul and really, you know, getting clear on what that is. Beautiful. I mean, what you're describing is also, you know, it's very akin to what I do, you know, in the magnetic presence, and, you know, when I do poetry work with my clients, and it just, I know the power of that. I'm just so excited.
And I do, because I did your program, and I experienced it for myself too, you know.
It's nice to be on the receiving end, isn't it? As well. Beautiful. Oh, lovely. So hi Darla, hi Janet. We've got people saying exciting, growing into the fullness of self. So I know you've designed your book is called Heart Balm, and it's designed to take people on a healing journey through the heart. So I'd love to, if you can share a little bit more about the book and what it's designed to do, and maybe have another poem from that.
Oh, thank you. Well, do you know, gosh, this version of the book that we hold in our hands now, only came into my consciousness in September of this year. I'd been writing the poems, and I was feeling a little bit disconnected from it in September, and I was struggling to find what it was meant to be, and I took some essences to reconnect myself to my creative energy, and to the book, and I did some visualizations with the book, and I found myself looking through my folders on my computer, looking for my poems, and I had a folder called Other Poems, probably not for use, and I found Heart Balm, the poem Heart Balm, that I'd written literally, and this is a bit of a confession, folks. I'd written this poem in about 5 minutes when I was doing a course last year, and I'd put it away, not giving it any attention at all. And I was suddenly drawn to this folder, and there it was. And I just went, oh my goodness, Heart Balm. And I read it and I thought, oh my goodness, this is the energy of the poem. This is the essence of the poem. And there is an essence combination called Heart Balm, which is a beautiful essence combination that's a real balm for the heart, a real soothing, healing essence. And I got the idea from another essence range called the Wild Earth Animal Essences, that have a healing journey of essences that goes from inner child through anger and forgiveness and gratitude and stuff. And I thought, and I looked at my poems, how I was organizing them, and I thought, this fits this kind of path. So I thought, that's it, that this is what the book is. It's this healing journey through the heart space, from the bruised, what I've called the bruised heart, the inner child wounding, through to peace via, and I looked at the poems, and it was grief and anger and loneliness, and then courage, and then the awakening to peace, and it just fell into, like a jigsaw. It all sort of came together, and so that's what it is.
Beautiful.
And yeah, where does this come from?
I remember we had a few sessions around that time. I remember you turning up kind of going, this is it, I've got it.
Yes, this is it, I've got it.
While you were sitting doing your knitting and trusting the deep visibility cycle of, the winter, the not doing time, knitting the jumper that you're wearing.
Yes, knitting the jumper.
And I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I've got a copy of the Heart Balm print, so I'd love if you share that.
Yes, I will read it now. Yeah. And I suppose the other thing to say is that there was a little bit of courage involved to accept Heart Balm as a serious poem. I'd written it in minutes, and it was like, and I'd tossed it aside, and so I had to, I sort of, my goodness, is it okay to include a poem that's taken you 5 minutes, And so there was a little bit of, acceptance around that. And
beautiful. And I love that, because there's also, and I know, I've studied a lot of poetry, and even there are some really great poets, like Seamus Heaney or the Derek Walcott, both of whom have won Nobel Prizes and written very serious book-length poetry, who have amazing poems that came through, in minutes. And they would describe them as gifts from somewhere else. And that sometimes those ones that are born through grace, have an incredible energy and are just as valuable as those that, are born through, more of a creative process. So
this is Heart Balm. Oh, how I have needed that quietness of late, that cherished space where I can see and feel the spaciousness of the stars, a place of homecoming where the lightness of the linden blossom resides, where I am warmed by the late autumn glowing embers spread before me. Oh, how I have needed that tenderness of late, that gentle touch of my heart cradled amongst steadfast trees, the embrace of nature, her soothing balm in the breeze and under my feet, my soul held with compassion as I find my way back to myself.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
I love that. And it's such a beautiful poem for this time of year as well. You know, the deep winter, that giving ourselves space for quietness and to come home to ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it was written during lockdown, when, you know, that connectedness with nature was a real balm, you know.
yes,
was so important, and it's a product of its time as well.
and
Yeah.
it's timeless. Beautiful. So I've got a few more comments here to share. So we've got Sandra von Schmeling here. Such a pleasure to listen to your inspiring share. Big hugs to both of you. Big hugs to you as well, Sandra. And Wendy is saying such authenticity arises so naturally. Yeah, beautiful. So beautiful for the poem. So gorgeous. So Jo, I'd love to invite people into your world. You know, I know, you know, I've been reading your book and it's full of bookmarks, and there's so many poems that I love here. So, you know, how can, for anyone interested, what's the next best step they can take? You know, where's a good place to get the book? And, you know, what do you?
Well, it is now available on Amazon, so you can order the book from Amazon. I still have a few copies. If you'd like a signed copy, you can have a copy that's signed, and you'll also get the heartbound print. If you'd like a signed copy, just message me on Facebook and we'll sort it out.
Great.
Yeah, and if you want to find out more about what I do, I have a page called Essence with Jo Dyer.
Okay, I'll share the link.
And I have a group, and I'll put the link to the group in the comments after, if that's okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. So if you're looking for any last minute Christmas presents, this is absolutely gorgeous, or just a treat for yourself to give yourself that space. Beautiful, Jo. And I'm so glad that you've said yes to your soul and kept listening to birth this book. And I really just love that it's all about shifting your energy. And when you shift your energy through the essences, through the poems, that, you know, you step forward to create, and you help others to do that, to create these gorgeous invitations to say yes to our soul. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks everyone for being here, and have a great week.
Thank you.